Charlotte Flair fans will love what WWE has discussed for her, and in this video I'm going to tell you exactly what they've discussed for her and why I think you're going to love it as well. We know that Charlotte Flair is returning at the Royal Rumble, just mere days away from taking place as the recording of this video, and I cannot wait. Now look, Charlotte Flair, she's been out the game since December of 2023. She tore an ACL, MCL, and a meniscus in a match on Friday Night SmackDown against Asuka. This was a devastating blow to WWE and its women's division on Friday nights, because Charlotte Flair for the last decade has been such a huge star for the company, not only as a women's star, but also as just a top tier star. And now obviously when we hear the fact that not only is Charlotte Flair returning, well, your ears kind of perk up and go, okay, what are they going to do with her? But when they confirm after airing 2 weeks of vignettes, 2 weeks of hype video packages that, hey, Charlotte Flair is returning, she's going to do so at the Women's Royal Rumble match. We don't know when she's going to obviously enter the match, and we obviously don't know who's going to win the match, but anytime that Charlotte Flair is inside of a Women's Royal Rumble match, there's always a guarantee, in my opinion, almost a lock, that she could easily, she's within the top 3 stars that could win it, punch her ticket to WrestleMania, and challenge for a championship, because they want to get her to break the world title record, say that 3 times fast, and become, the GOAT of women's wrestling. And then arguably, I think she's still behind Trish Stratus, but I think she can surpass her. Now, that leads us to what I'm talking about today, because while yes, you and I may think that she is poised, she is destined to challenge for a championship at WrestleMania, I also think that there's an outside shot that does not happen, and that leads us to today's video. Now, a few weeks back, WrestleVotes had reported that there was a match being discussed for Charlotte Flair for WrestleMania, and now Fightful Select has come out, and they have confirmed it as well, because Fightful Select, WrestleVotes, they have confirmed that WWE has indeed discussed a Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair match, ironically, for the women's championship, if Stratton makes it to Mania, which I think she would be. Now, this is interesting because Stratton, she's often been compared to Charlotte Flair, the way that they look, them being blonde, their characters being heels, etc. And Charlotte has said that Tiffany has cited her as being the reason as to why she became a wrestler in the first place. Now, multiple interviews in recent years, Stratton has expressed interest in facing the top WWE star. This comes at a time where Stratton has had a remarkable rise in year in WWE. You take it back a few years ago, and people forget how, early she is in her career, but she only debuted a few years ago in WWE in NXT, became an NXT Women's Champion, feuded with Becky Lynch, and that really helped her career take off. She has since won Money in the Bank and obviously cashed in on Nia Jax to win the Women's Championship to kick off 2025. As I previously noted, Charlotte Flair has been out the game with an injury, but she's been training for her return for months, and the build to her return is on lockdown. I have said this once, I will say this again. I think this is a perfect match. Charlotte Flair, Tiffany Stratton is money, and you can book them in a money type situation. I also think it shouldn't get twisted. The fact is that Charlotte Flair, if she challenges, and that's a big if, but if she challenges Tiffany Stratton for the Women's Championship, especially at a WrestleMania, the chances are very likely that Charlotte Flair will go over. The chances are that she will dethrone Tiffany Stratton as Women's Champion. It only makes sense because I'll tell you this. By the time that we roll it around to WrestleMania, Tiffany Stratton will hold the championship for 4 months? That's plenty of time for her to have a title run, to have her have a noticeable title run, and to establish herself as a main event star. That's what she is. Before she won the Women's Championship, I did not see Tiffany Stratton as a main event star. However, the athlete, the performer, the wrestler makes the championship. The championship doesn't make the wrestler. And so I think Tiffany Stratton has the opportunity and really needs to grow into the role, put on these shoes of a main event type star. Just because she's a champion doesn't mean that she's a main event star. Now, is she on her way? Will she eventually get there? I think so, but I think that by the time that you do roll around to WrestleMania, it's going to be like, okay, she still needs a rub, which she will get from Charlotte Flair, but she also doesn't need to go over Charlotte Flair. And Charlotte Flair will likely win the championship because that's just what WWE does. And honestly, in this situation, I'm not even arguing about it. There's also another concern I have. What is the layout of this feud? What is the layout of the storyline? And what will be the layout of this match? Obviously, Tiffany Stratton is a heel, and Charlotte Flair, last time we saw her, was a babyface. And now Charlotte Flair is returning from major injury. We haven't seen her in over a year, so there's going to be a little bit of, you don't see someone, you grow a little fonder of them, you miss them, you want to see them, and you want to see them succeed, right? It's a welcoming, it's a positive reaction to seeing them. However, it is Charlotte Flair, so you never know either A, if they're going to turn her heel, or B, if the fans will accept her. Now, I am concerned if they bring Charlotte Flair back as a babyface and they go into Mania and they have her and Tiffany Stratton babyface versus heel. Now, I'm also saying that, and this is kind of the problem with this feud, I don't also like the prospect of having a Tiffany Stratton as a babyface. I don't like that either. So what do you do, right? Because you can just complain about it, but what's the solution? So if I had a solution, it would be this. I don't like heel versus heel matches. I think the layout of it and the flow and the way that they work those matches is just really bad. So I'm not even welcoming that idea. But what I am doing is this. I'm being realistic, and I'm saying this. If you do Charlotte Flair challenging Tiffany Stratton for the Women's Championship at WrestleMania, you have to have Charlotte Flair as the babyface. They don't have another choice. You have got to do that match layout. It just makes more sense. Last time we saw Charlotte, she was a babyface. She's coming off a devastating injury. She's made her grand return. She's trying to, go after her father's record. There's a lot of elements. There's a lot of storylines. There's a lot of areas in which you can build upon in this storyline and in this feud, in which I think WWE will be able to capitalize and do so in a very, very high and great level if you can tell the story correctly. And that is a major, thing. And you can't rule out the fact that if Charlotte Flair does return and she does do so as a babyface, will the fans react the way you want her to, right? Like, she could return and get a huge pop, which I have no doubts that she will, right? She's a big star. She's been gone for a while. But I also think as the time goes on, as weeks build up, and as we get closer to Mania, especially if she's won the match and she's going on to WrestleMania and challenging Tiffany Stratton for the Women's Championship, I also wouldn't rule out the fact that the fans turn on her and say, no, we don't want you. I could see that happening, right? Charlotte Flair is very controversial. She's a very polarizing name within the wrestling business. Some people like her, some people don't. Some people think she's overrated, some people think she's underrated, some people think she's overly pushed. Regardless, I don't think it comes down to minority fan base reaction. I think it comes down to the majority, and I think that's what they're going to do. So if the fans continue to cheer Charlotte Flair, well, then she will be presented as a babyface. But if she's continuously booed during this feud, then I can see them kind of doing a tweener type character for her,